Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. Tonight, we have a very special guest speaker, my friend, Diamond Senior Ruby, Megan Goff. So, a little bit about Megan is that do you have 7 kids, Megan? 7. Okay, 7 kids. And she is a homeschooling mom of all of those kids. And I think the first time me and Megan actually got to hang out was in Mexico a couple of years ago. And we met up for breakfast. I had brought Molly with me, the baby, and Megan had brought her baby. And so we wrangled toddlers and tried to have a conversation. And then in Portugal, she earned the top 50 trip last year. So she was a Portugal earner. She brought her teenage daughter, and I brought my daughter, who's almost a teenager, Grace. And so we had so much fun together with our daughters. We ate at fancy restaurants and saw all the sights and just had lots of great conversation there too. So I've really, really enjoyed getting to know Megan. She's super smart, loves the Lord, which I totally appreciate about her, and just massively successful. Like, it's amazing. She is a 5-star diamond, which means she has 5 distinct jewel legs of her team. And not only that, she is a senior ruby on her re-entry account, and her husband is a diamond. So essentially, they're a double diamond, senior ruby, 5-star diamond household. Is that right, Megan? Okay, so it's a pretty big deal, okay, that she's on our call tonight. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear her story. And you're going to be so inspired. If you have any questions for Megan while she's talking, type them in the chat. If we have time at the end, I will ask her those questions. So, Megan, I'm going to turn it over to you. Share with us your journey. What piqued your interest in Plexus? What challenges have you encountered along the way? What have you overcome? What's kept you going? And how did you do it? Tell us all the things.
Okay, got it. Alrighty. Well, I jotted down some notes, so we'll see where this goes. Thank you, Brittany. That was so gracious. And I so appreciate just our friendship and the things that we've been able to chit chat about back and forth. So you guys, she already kind of introduced me, but mom of 7, I homeschool. Plexus is not the only thing that I do. But I want to give you guys some insight into what has created the success. So right off the bat, I want to give you some specific prayers that I have prayed from the get-go. And I honestly wish that you guys would have known me. Like if you could like just meet me as a pre-Plexus girl, kind of who I was and what I was like. Plexus has grown me in huge ways. And when they say, Plexus is basically personal growth with a compensation plan, it's totally true. And I'm specifically thinking of a jewel on my team that has been in ministry. She's a pastor's wife and has been in ministry for decades. And she started Plexus because my mom was like, just try the stuff, just try it. And now she's a jewel on my team. But she started just for products. But I think it's so interesting that she said that even being in ministry for decades, that Plexus has been the catalyst for personal growth for her in a massive way. And so I'm just so thankful that we have this opportunity to learn and grow. And so I'm still learning and growing. I think that's so exciting. But a couple of things that I prayed specifically, because Plexus came into my life in 2015. That's when I actually started the products. I had heard about it for a couple of years. The very first time I heard about it was through an email from Shoshana, who had, some of you may know her or know of her. She had a nationwide online herb store, and I had followed her for years. And so I knew, just like name recognition, like Shoshana, Kristen Abart, just different people that Lori, their sponsor. And so it was just so interesting to me when I started, looking into Plexus. I started seeing some more of these people, the same people that I had followed in health and wellness circles for a lot of years. And so I just, I was very skeptical. I had a lot of fears. But I was sick. Some of you may know my story, some of you may not, but I had been exposed in our old farmhouse to mold. And if you've never known about environmental toxicity, it is a real thing. And I have just had so many conversations with people over the years, and helping them recover from from mold issues. So if you know of people, or you are in a moldy environment, I do have a couple of YouTube videos that you can check out, because there were specific things that we did to help our bodies heal. Thankfully, we had Plexus a couple of years into our mold journey, because I did not join Shoshana the first time I saw that email. That actually took multiple exposures over the period of 18 months. And I initially was like, no thanks, no way. It looks like weight loss, and for people that have diabetes. And I don't have diabetes, so no thank you. I don't need that. And so it wasn't until multiple friends that I knew personally were like, hey, you should check into Plexus. It'd be right up your alley, all about gut health. And so I was like, oh, interesting. And then it was just like, I started seeing it pop up on Facebook, but it was not, I wasn't seeing weight loss or diabetes shared about. I was seeing gut health. And that was like a trigger word for me, because the mold wreaked havoc on my gut and my hormones and so many things. And so it was just a godsend, honestly. And I look back and I'm thankful for that 18-month period where I was working with a naturopath. She was really helping me work from the ground up with my health. And because I feel like it's helped me be able to help more people, having that perspective and that story. Because once I started Plexus and realized like what it was, and really caught the vision for not just, using the products, but actually pursuing the opportunity, I was like, why did I not start 18 months ago? I would be a diamond by now. But, God's timing is perfect. And so regardless of what our stories look like, it's the perfect story, because it was meant to be that way, because those things grow us, right? And so a couple of things that I did in the beginning, because I had just had baby number 5, my life was very full. I didn't feel like I needed more friends. I didn't even feel like I needed a business. Like, I was fulfilled in pretty much every way in my life, figuring out mom life with 5, and, in that new mom postpartum zone, brain space, and just, considering the opportunity. And so I started just for products. So I'll just say that right off the bat. I wasn't initially looking for an opportunity or really even interested in that, but I did see there was a part of me that was like, this is interesting, And so a couple of things that I did right from the get-go was pray specifically for people that needed this. Just like, God, put them on my heart. If this is meant to be for them, put them on my heart, cause them to come to me. Okay. And I prayed with like expectant faith. I didn't pray that and just do nothing. But I also didn't pray that and then just not believe that it would happen. It was like every week I'm like, okay, Lord, who are you going to bring to me this week? Right. And then I also prayed specifically that God would magnify the hours of my day and bless the work of my hands. So there's a scripture in Psalm 90, and that's where I got those from. I was just like, if this is something that we're going to pursue, look, you're going to have to help me, because I was homeschooling 5 children. My husband was never home. We were actually praying for an opportunity for him. We thought, he would start his own contracting business, be able to work with the boys or something like that. Never in a million years would have ever picked out network marketing. Just as a backstory, I'm from a small town, teeny tiny town. We still live in the tiny town I grew up in, just like half a mile down the road from my parents. And so it's really interesting to grow a business like this in a really small town, because everybody knows you. And it's just interesting. Small church, like small, close-knit communities. It's very sweet. But I will say, I feel like I've gotten a little ahead of myself. So in the beginning, I wasn't thinking business, thinking entrepreneur, although my parents raised us very entrepreneurial. So my sisters and I had businesses growing up, like in our teen years and things like that. So I wasn't afraid of that. And so when I started the products, it was probably a month or 6 weeks in that I was just like binge listening to how and why the products worked. And that built my belief. And couple that with the fact that my son, who was 4 at the time, his eczema went away in a month after using our Superman probiotic. I was like, all the moms need to know about this. And I'll have to tell you guys, I was already helping people with their health, but I was just referring them to Shoshana's herb store or my local health food store. And I definitely wasn't getting a kickback from those people. I was just referring them because I knew like enough about like, oh, I'm researching this, here's a couple of supplements you could try for XYZ health issues that you have. And so that did not feel weird to me. And I actually, like, my wheels started turning. I was like, well, because binge listening to product videos, you kind of stumble upon some Sonia Dudley and some Brenda Martin and Charlotte Seams and some different people that we're talking about share with 3 friends. I was also in Jessica Heffley's team page. So hello, I was seeing all the things about the opportunity in the business. And I was just like, okay, interesting. And so I gradually started to see, well, maybe this could be a little more for us than, just using the products ourselves or helping a couple of people. And so I did not fast start anything. It took me a couple months to go silver. I kind of randomly shared a few times on Facebook, really willy-nilly, but I got a couple of customers. And then by the end of April, so I started in February of 2015, by the very end of April, my friend was my 3rd friend to join. Okay, there's a couple of randoms that just saw my post on Facebook. And then my friend Kelsey joined and helped me go silver. And it was when I went silver that I totally got the vision for, oh my word, game on, how do I get to gold? Because we didn't have senior silver at that time. So it was just jumping from 3 people to 20 people. And so I was like, well, I know 20 people that would do that would start the products. And interestingly, in the very beginning, I was just hoping like by my year anniversary of starting the products that I would have 20 people that I could share the products with. So my perspective was very, like, my threshold was pretty low in terms of, I guess, my potential, because as I started to share and I was very consistent after I went silver, then I was like, okay, post on Facebook every single day, engage with people, make my list, reach out to people. And so it was at that point of working on going gold that I really saw a vision for this. It was going silver and watching Jarrett Abart's Diamond documentary, where I was like, I'm seeing a vision of what this could be. This is way more than just products and maybe helping a couple of people at church. Like, this is financial freedom. This has the potential to do that. And so it just expanded everything I thought possible. And I was like, well, game on. I want to go emerald. Like, that's my goal. I'm going to run until I get to emerald. And so my journey to emerald was 14 months, I guess, from when I started the products. But from when I started sharing is about 11-ish months. And so it did feel fast, but I think it was, I didn't have systems in place. It was kind of like, hey, I'm starting these things. And like my close friends that started the product started to see that vision also. And so they started to share with their friends. And so it was just kind of this ball that we started rolling, right? And so, I had the pedal to the metal, so to speak. Like, I pared down my life to bare bones basics. I was homeschooling my kids. I was cooking healthy. But other than that, like, I let a lot of other things go. I still maintain my house, but maybe not A++ type A standards, right? So I cut the fluff because I knew that the sacrifices that I was going to make then would end up blessing my family later. Okay. So very tangibly, like, I wasn't spending hours making gourmet meals. So it was like simple but healthy meals, right? Same with gardening. I wasn't doing as much of that, right? And so I was just looking for little ways to cut, save time and invest it in my business. And so basically, when I wasn't doing the main top priority things in my life with my children, I was working Plexus. Okay. So then the little snippets throughout my day, I mainly built this while I was nursing babies and when people are sleeping. So nap time, I had all my kids synced so that they would nap at the same time or do a quiet time in the afternoon. And then once Justin got home, he worked very long hours, but once he caught the vision for it, then we worked like from when we put the kids down to like 12 or 1 a.m. every single morning. And then he would get up to go to work at 4 or 5 a.m. So like, we definitely sacrificed time and sleep to build this thing, but it's been worth it. It's totally been worth it. And so oops, is that me? Sorry. A couple of things I was thinking about. You didn't know me when I first started, but I am naturally a very fearful person. My mom would tell you, like, even from a kid, my like besetting sin was fear. So how God brings us something like, to throw us into something that doesn't feel comfortable, or to put us in a position where we have to address some fears, like if we're going to go farther and pursue an opportunity like Plexus. And so I had to overcome a mountain of fears, everything from, thoughts like, who would even do this with me, to, just different fears that I had. I was very scared to post on social media. I was like, this feels so uncomfortable. But I see other people posting like a picture of themselves with the thing, not like a product, a kind of a spammy just product graphic. That's boring. So I like started to notice the marketing strategy behind it. Like, okay, people are going to track with my face or me going live. And so I did it scared, guys. Like, I am not necessarily like a super like out there charismatic, like, now I'm pretty introverted naturally. And so when I started Plexus, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to learn to be more like my mom. We've always like laughed hysterically, and kind of not made fun, but like teased my mom, because over the years we're like, you need to run for office, because you meet people in the elevator, you hear their life story, and then they all of a sudden are like guests at our Thanksgiving table. Seriously. And now she is a congresswoman. Side note, hilarious. You know how that all comes into play. But I'm like, she has been a value adder, a connector of people for decades, literally. And so I started to practice that. Like, when I would go to the grocery store, I would engage with the checkout lady, because normally I wouldn't. Like mailing samples, I would intentionally connect with the post office lady. And sometimes it was Plexus related, sometimes not, but just to practice, not necessarily because I thought I was going to get a sale, but just to practice that. And so I overcame the fears quickly. So like I addressed, and like whatever felt scary, I went and did it. Tamara Holloway, Jessica Heffleaves, we're always preaching, what are you avoiding? And whatever that is, go do it now. Before your head hits the pillow, act quickly. And so I was also very, very scared of the thought of someone thinking I was going to sell them something, which, hello, I was selling them something. But I was scared that they were going to think I was all about money, or like all of a sudden didn't care about people. And so I had to figure out how to authentically share Plexus with who I was. I homeschool, small town girl, homeschool mom. I couldn't all of a sudden like morph into Jessica. She pursued Plexus as an income opportunity, because her husband was never home, like that. And she was a marketing and business major. So I'm like, people are going to think that I was abducted by aliens if I all of a sudden start posting like her on social media. So I had to figure out, like, how do I, as a starting for products person, share this opportunity with people and really like share authentically from my heart. Like, that was very important to me. I didn't want to just, turn people off, but share my perspective authentically. And like, honestly, guys, it works when you're just sharing from your heart, like why and how, and you're sharing your because. People track with that. Okay. So another thing that I was thinking about is I kind of talked about this, but I learned, and I guess I pivot quickly. So address what I'm resisting. Also mindset objections. I think my brain offered me opposing thoughts. One of the thoughts was, who would even do this with me? Especially the business. The products I knew I could get people started on. It was the business that I was like, would people even post on Facebook like I'm doing? Seriously? Like, that was one of my thoughts. But another thought that my brain offered me was, well, I think that people are going to come back and thank me for sharing Plexus with them, because I was brave. And so I had these like opposing thoughts going on in my brain, but I chose to think the more positive thought. And it wasn't that I like, shoved the other one down. It was still there, but I wasn't focused on that. And I chose to act, I guess, in accordance to the other thought that my brain was offering me. And so some of this mindset coaching, I've looked back and I'm like, interesting. In some instances, I think even though I was scared, even though I had these like fears and, objections in my mind, I chose to act in spite of that. And I think that's a little counterintuitive. The more I learn about like mindset coaching and coach people, I think the majority will think the negative thought and they will sit in inaction and they'll just kind of stall there because they're letting their thoughts and feelings rule them instead of considering that, well, maybe we don't have to be ruled by our feelings, or maybe we don't have to be ruled by that negative or scary thought, but we can actually choose the thought we're going to take action from. So anyways, interesting little side note there. Okay, and then, implement quickly. So Justin has told me this too. He's like, yeah, when you get an idea, like you've already implemented it like the day of, even if it's not perfect, like you've already thought through and like put it out there. That can sometimes be bad because I've run into like incentives I've thrown out there and that like haven't realized how successful they would be. And then I'm like, oh my word, I didn't think through all the angles here. I'm going to be shelling out a boatload of samples or products or prizes or incentives or whatever, so there's a negative, I guess, there too. But he said the difference between me and him would be that he sits in an idea for like 2 or 3 weeks before he acts on it. And he goes, you have already done it, made the necessary pivots and made it better and implemented it again. And so it's interesting, I guess, to think through like what has helped me be successful. And that's one of the things. So my encouragement there is this business requires creativity. And so when you get an idea, think through what are the areas or the things when do you get the best ideas? My best ideas come to me, don't laugh, when I'm in the shower, when I'm doing dishes, or when I'm on a walk. I think because I actually have space to think my thoughts because I have children here 24/7 all the time, right? And so those 3 things, people leave me alone typically, or I lock the door. And so when you get those creative ideas, implement them. Your brain may be telling you, oh, that's so stupid. Do it anyway. And if it doesn't work, it's always weird if it doesn't work. That's Justin's one-liner. It's only weird if it doesn't work. And I think sometimes we don't act because we're like, oh, that's not a good idea. My new Fast Start Gold, she and I have done a few events. And so we were coming to the end of December. She's like, I feel like I really need to host an event. I'm like, do it. Let's do it. And I said, well, what about we haven't done the group style event yet. That was one that we hadn't done. And it was like Thursday, right before New Year's. And so I'm like, well, it was already like late Thursday. So Thursday was not an option. Friday, I feel like people are just tapped out there, like partying on Friday nights or something. So I'm like, well, what if we did Saturday morning? Not ideal. It's New Year's Eve day, but I don't know. What do you say? Let's try it. It was a smashing success. And I'm so glad we did it. I mean, I think she had 25 yeses in the group and she signed multiple people before the end of the month. And then she's had ongoing conversations since that event. And so sometimes we think like, oh, it's not the ideal time. Sometimes we just have to do it. And if it doesn't work, we'll pivot and try something else, right? So don't be afraid to act on those creative ideas. Another thing I think that really helped me from the get-go was I've always had an earbud in, maybe not an earbud specifically, but if I'm doing laundry, if I'm doing dishes, if I'm in the car driving or whatever, I am listening to training because that builds exponentially in our belief, in our mindsets, in our inspiration. It fills us up so that we can pour out to more people on our team, or we can implement ideas. Because I am not the generator of all ideas. Honestly, my life is so full. I don't always have the best creative ideas, but I'm willing to duplicate. I think I'm a good duplicator of people that do have good ideas, whether it's a post idea, whether it's an event idea, maybe it's a tweak on something that already is successful, but like making it a little bit more fun or presenting in a different way. And I think it has helped me to stay relevant. Like naturally, if I'm not plugged in, I wax and wane. I'm kind of like, rah, rah, rah. But if I am listening to training, even the Diamonds in December, so encouraging. I'm catching up on some of those because I didn't get through all of them in December, but I'm listening to those thinking, oh, that's a good idea, or, oh, I didn't even think about it that way. But it helps me as I coach my team, as I get ideas. And so that has a cumulative and exponential effect. And so you guys showing up to the calls, proud of you. There's almost 100 people on this call. That is awesome. Very, very proud of you guys. And so I think it also helps me to stay inspiring to my team in that way. A couple other things I wrote down really quick, and then I will be done, is I have had the long game in mind from the get-go. Like, this requires endurance. This is not a short-term thing. I mean, even if you go emerald fast or you go diamond fast, whatever fast is, have the long game in mind, okay? And, I think that I have had high-level activity coupled with the long game mentality. That was just what I wanted. I wanted to create quick success. And so I was willing to pedal to the metal until I hit the goals that I wanted to hit. And I knew very clearly and specifically what I wanted and why. And so if you're feeling unclear on that, I would challenge you with what I challenged my team last week. White paper challenge, okay? Super simple. Get a white paper and write it down. Write down your why, write down your goals. It's very simple, but I think that is one thing that has helped me be successful, because every single month I do it. I created a journal for my team, like a 90-day planner for my team. Every single top of the month, there's like a goal sheet with like specifics of setting goals for your family, for your business. Okay, that is so important, because I think the statistics are like 85% to 95% or something like that of the goals you write down, you will hit. And so if it's just the simplicity of writing the goal down, I'm in. That's so simple, but it takes it from your brain to paper, and then reviewing it. And the studies are out there that show how important that is for hitting your goals. And so goals and reflection, that's the other thing, is at the end of every month, reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, and why, and then make the necessary pivots. And so I think being able to self-coach and self-address has really helped propel me forward. So, okay, these were just little glimpses of, how I think, or how I thought, what has helped me find success. And, I think it's wrong to assume that everyone knows what you are doing as a leader. And it's so important to show them what you are doing, what you're saying, and be teaching your team as you go along, because you teaching them will make it duplicatable so that they can do what you're doing. And where you're not assuming like, oh, well, just follow up with your people. Well, they don't know how to necessarily, right? And so anyways, that's the crux of my story. So I went Emerald in March of 2016, and then I stalled out for a while, months and months and months. And I just pretended like I was starting completely over. Like I pretended I did not have that Emerald team, and I was starting out as 0. I have no points, and I'm going to go silver, and then I'm going to go gold, and then I'm going to go senior gold. Okay, so that helped my brain space, and I ended up going sapphire at convention in May of 2017, and then I did a really big push and went diamond that September. So September of 2017, and that was the first rank up I ever included my team in. And so we did like this big team-wide call at the top of the month. I looked to see whoever could rank up with me that month. We did a huge, massive push. And so that was a very exciting rank up, very fun. So anyways, that is my story in a nutshell, very fast. And whoo, I think I talked too long, Brittany.
No, it was so good. Thank you for sharing all of that. So you went diamond in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Just incredible. So I have some thoughts. I love that you are such a learner. And I would have been able to tell that even without you just saying that you always have an earbud in your ear, just because every time I'm around you, you are always asking good questions and you listen well. And I see you doing that with other people too. When I observe you with others, you are doing most of the listening and all of the question asking. So I think that has a lot to do with why you are as successful as you are, because you are a learner, and you are one of the most successful diamonds in the entire company. And you do not let that stop you from learning from whoever you can learn from. And I respect that so much. Did you say your mom, is she a U.S. senator?
She's a U.S. congresswoman.
A congresswoman. Okay. Well, that's also cool, which I knew that, but I think it's cool for everybody else to know that too. So so you said that in the beginning that you prayed for people that needed this to come to you. Did you at some point start reaching out to people? Because you said when you caught the vision for gold, you were making a list, reaching out to people. So how did you balance that? How did you balance your prayer with your work?
I took massive action. So yes, I prayed, but then I took massive action. I would sit down with like notebook paper filled with names when my kids were napping, and I would message people.
So you weren't just like sitting around waiting for God to send you all the people?
No.
Okay.
And I think it was the act of being willing to act. Even if none of the people on that list even responded back to me, it created something. I don't know. And I just say, when you set that intention and you take large action, the people come. And, and it's obviously you're learning as you go. And so, I was learning how to message people and all of that. So, but yeah, it was definitely massive action coupled with that. But I noticed that in the beginning, posting worked for me to like, people would just private message me from a post I made. But when that started to kind of dwindle off and dry off a couple months in, I was like, where are the people? And so every time I did a live video, it has really, even still now, it always brings up new conversations. Maybe not with people interacting with my video, but I'll get private messages. So yeah.
Cool. I love it. Okay. Have you, as a mom of 7, homeschooling, all the things, and huge business, have you ever struggled with mom guilt?
That's a good one. You like feeling like I'm shorting my kids in order to build my business?
Yeah.
I think in the beginning, I did so much of it when my children were sleeping because they were littler. Now it's different. Like I'm in a different season now. And so I'm very aware of what am I giving up? Like if I'm going to be on this call or if I'm going to do this training or whatever, what am I giving up or what am I sacrificing in order to do that? So I'm aware of that. I'm also not a mom that feels like my kids do a lot of independent play. We live on acreage, and so they're not sitting waiting for me to go play with them. And that's also why I have a lot of kids. They entertain each other. So in terms of mom guilt, I mean, I'm aware and wanting to make sure that I'm balanced, but regardless of what we do in life, I feel like there's always going to be that struggle of the juggle. That's what I call it. Whether you're in ministry or you have a outside the home job or whatever. I just feel like pick your heart though. I would much rather do this where my day can flow and I can pop in first thing in the morning, do a jewel call. That's what I did then after I exercised first thing. Then we did school for multiple hours. And then I plugged back in later this afternoon after we did piano practice together and different things. And so I feel like I am giving my children a lot of one-on-one attention, we're home all the time together. What would be hard to me would have to be to pick up like a 12-hour shift at the hospital and work nights or something, have to leave my home and leave my children, leave them with other people. That would be very hard for me. And so nursing my baby while recovering from childbirth and messaging people or following up with people, that's not hard in my book. That's a blessing.
I love it. Love it. I love that perspective. So good. All right. Last question. You said that you had to learn how to share this authentically as you. So what did that actually look like for you? How did you share authentically?
Yeah, I feel like until I was about Sapphire, I feel like I very much shared the products. I didn't share very much of the business. Obviously, I shared enough for us to be a Sapphire team, but I feel like I had to overcome fears of what people were going to think of me. That was the biggest thing because it was maybe only almost like an identity that I was willing to take ownership of the fact that I am in network marketing and it's not slimy or scammy. It's actually one of the best industries in the world. And like, where else could you make this kind of money and have this kind of impact with people and serve people and being engaged that way? And so I think for me, it just took my brain space. I feel like it comes very natural for me to share about the products because that's why I started. And so it takes more effort for me to think through, what could I share about the opportunity that would resonate with people? And so I think that it was, and it's still, even now, I have to be intentional about, well, one, who am I reaching out to about the business? What am I going to pop on my stories and share live? And I think sometimes it's like, don't overthink it, just go share. Your commission check dropped. What tangibly is this opportunity providing for your family? Show that. And you don't have to feel like you aren't relatable to your diamond. I think sometimes that diamond paycheck doesn't feel relatable to the most of the population that we're talking to, right? And so share tangibly, like I got my nails done and I didn't have to take it out of the family budget. Like my business paid for that, right? And Jessica Heffley always would tell us, people think you make like $25 or $50 at your cute side hobby. She's like, we make amazing money with Plexus. Do not be afraid to share that, at whatever rank you're at. I mean, even the fast start bonuses for silver, senior silver, and gold are amazing. I have some new fast starts that had made thousands of dollars in the last couple of months, and it's been a huge blessing to their family. So did I answer your question?
Yes, absolutely, I did. That was really good. Okay, well, thank you for sharing all of this, Megan. I really enjoyed the team hearing from you. You're super inspiring. And also, you guys heard me say that her husband, Justin, is also a diamond. And so stay tuned in the near future for Justin to come on and share his story. So we will have a part 2. This is to be continued in the near future. It won't be in February. I mean, it won't be in January. I think maybe February, March. So very much excited for that too. Thank you again, Megan. This was so good.
You are so welcome. So happy that I could pop on.
All right.
Good
night.
Good night.